Right, so Rise first pick, great pick, very diverse. Also can be flexed into top lane, but it gives a massive amount of potential in mid. They take the Xin away instantly. Obviously, Xin for Rise is kind of a common trade because Xin and Rise is extremely powerful because Rise can just get Xin very fed. With LeBlanc banned, Rise is kind of the next thing to sort of fill those shoes. Let's just full screen. So they get the Kennen again. I'd like to see how much pressure Kennen, how much priority can EDG are actually putting on this Kennen. Okay. So they respond with a Trundle. Trundle into Xin is a very, very good matchup. It's good for Trundle. Xin can still work around it, obviously, but Trundle will beat him in that 1v1, so it's a very, very good trade. So now I'm looking for, again, I mean, they banned LeBlanc because, again, that was a massive problem. The GP, I really like this pick here because it can be played into Kennen, and it's very good into Kennen. So I think they've made a mistake here by leaving the GP open if they were planning on taking Kennen this early, especially considering they have R5. Now, the advantage to R5 is that you can take, say, powerful jungle, powerful, say, ADC in these first two, and then in this R3 slot, you can take a counter pick for the top lane, or counter pick for one of the solo lanes if they show it, and then in R5 you can get counter pick for another solo lane. So you can, in theory, if you draft properly, get 2 counter picks unless it's something you prioritize. Now, I do think it is good that they're prioritizing the Kennen because it plays well into a lot of lanes because it's range, and then it gives that massive kind of team fight potential, which is what they're really, really looking for. Now, they're taking the Ezreal away this time, so from WE, I'd really like to see a Braum ban because there's R4 coming over for EDG. So I think they need to ban something like Braum and just pinpoint supports. Maybe Braum and Leona from bans. And then that's going to force them into, you know, something else that can either roam, like maybe even an Enchanter, something like Bard maybe. We might see that. Or even something like a Nautilus that can also just roam off and do whatever. So I think they have to get rid of those. Karma ban, okay. That's okay just because obviously Ez Karma is a very, very oppressive bot lane. But I think if they were going to take Karma, they would have maybe taken it a slightly higher priority because of the flex value. But maybe not. So we can see the coach talking with Scout about what he wants because obviously they're banning away things like obviously EDG are just looking to ban junglers, especially since this Trundle is probably they're thinking the Trundle is going to go support. I do think this Trundle is just going to go jungle though, so I think these 2 jungle bans are a little bit grief. I think it would have been better to punish the ADC champ pool here and ban 2 things away that could potentially cause havoc for Ezreal. Even something like a Kai'Sa with such a short range team would be very good here and is very good into the Ezreal as well. So I think the fact that they've left that open means we might see that picked for WE. But Viper's going to pick here, I think. They probably just leave mid to last pick. They just take support here. Like the Braum, like I previously said, would be very good and it would punish WE's draft. I really think it's bad that they're taking mid lane here because they're allowing the mid lane to get countered now by WE, and I do think Yone is extremely powerful, but I don't think when you've got R5 available and you want to take a good support, you leave this. Like Braum is the clear answer here in terms of support. They're taking a Volibear. They are going to force a Trundle into support. So this is, I think the only reason EDG did it in case is so that they could see the entire draft and see if this Trundle was going to go either support or jungle, see if they banned correctly. Now we do have a Volibear which will be going into the jungle now, which means there is Trundle support. And again, W have played this very kind of comp that's, I like Ashe, don't get me wrong, but she is great for engage and they are all going to jump on top of them. I would have liked to see something like a Kai'Sa, even though she's not as good. I think it would be pretty good into their comp, even like repositioning to get away from Yone's ultimate, and she has the ability to escape Kennen as well with her E, and she has ult as well to chase people down, especially the Ezreal. They're going with the Ziggs bot here, so this is actually one of the first time in this playoffs that the Ziggs bot has been seen by us so far watching back. So they are still looking for this Leona, which, I mean, she's tier 1 support. Like, I mean, Trundle does counter in a little bit, but he took Guardian last time instead of Hail of Blades, so that's fine. Now, one thing to note is the side of EDG is looking to be very, very roam heavy. Like, they're looking to just let this Leona roam off, do whatever she wants. Mako's shown that he's very good on Leona as well. He's been popping off in quite a lot of these kind of plays that they've been making, especially to lock down that LeBlanc previously. The fact that he managed to lock down a LeBlanc with Leona gives me a lot of faith that he's going to be able to do a lot. Now, the only thing is, I do think WE's comp is very, very AP heavy here. Like, extremely AP heavy, so I'm not sure I really like it anywhere near as much. I do think they have more avenues to play around, though. They have this Rise now, that they can play this Rise Volibear 2v2 like very, very well. I do think, obviously, the Yone is pretty good into the Rise in the fact that, you know, you can do a ridiculous amount of damage to him, and Rise is a mobile as well, so it's very hard if he doesn't have his phase rush to ever dodge the Yone ultimate, so that's why they chose to go with the Yone here. They do have very, very good scaling in WE's side. They do have the Gangplank, which if he gets ahead, that's very good. The biggest issue I see with this comp now, though, is you have an Ezreal bot lane for Viper, which is a very self-reliant ADC that can stay very safe in lane. And you've got a Leona that's going to be looking to roam off and do whatever she wants. But one of the problems I see with WE's draft here is that their only real substantial AD member of the team is going to be Gangplank. And EDG have drafted in a way that they can very easily focus the Gangplank. So what I'd like to see here is potentially this Xin Zhao take his red buff into splitting the map topside and then just hard camping this GP and trying to kind of do a lot. Now, it's going to be quite hard to lock him down because he does have that cleanse in his oranges. But I think overall, that's what EDG should be looking to do here, and if they can manage to do that, then great. Now, they were actually 12-4. I don't know if that 4 is counting the last game loss, but overall, like, they're clearly a very good team. So, we do see Xin Zhao getting his red here. The way he's pathing around his red means that, in my opinion, he's not going to try and split the map, which I think is a big mistake. Because he does have a Yone in mid, who, you know, he can potentially get a big pick on the Rise. But, again, like I said, you want to be focusing more towards this top side of the map so that you can kind of lock this GP out of the game. So, I really don't like the fact that the Xin Zhao is pathing towards an Ezreal. But it's okay. Now, Scout, this is very, very good for him. He knows that Shanks is at level 2. He also procs phase rush, so he's backing away from the wave, just let it crash in. Now, the reason why this is very, very good for Scout as well is because the fact that Rise would push this in so hard and he's kind of taunted him into taking these trades means that the second wave has now crashed and the third wave is here. Now, because of this, it means that Rise is not going to be able to get a reset off for anything, which is, you know, quite bad, and which, you know, I mean, Rise could have potentially used his TP and Futures Market. I don't know what he's got, but he could have used TP and Futures Market to get a Lost Chapter 4 minutes to come back and just really have a much better time in this lane. But Scout is kind of letting this wave drop back to him so that he is actually in a position where this wave will clear off and then his cannon will start stacking, and they can maybe, if Xin Zhao actually moves to it, potentially look to dive this Rise into tier 1 tower very early into the game, because Yone can jump in with his E, get aggro with this big slow push, and then from there he can, you know, jump back out when he's about to die, and then Xin Zhao can finish the kill off and then play around that. So I think it's very, very... Oh, that's my bad. Whoops, where were we at? Okay. We're a bit before this, I think. Oh, we are, because he dies. Okay, so we're on here. So, I mean, the thing is now, Rise is having to use all of his mana to crash this in, especially the cannon, or a substantial amount of his mana anyway, and he's playing into a manaless champion. So Yone just has to kind of buy his time here, and stop Rise really doing much. Nice little trade, okay, great. And now, you know, Rise is starting to drop low on mana. So now Scout is in a position where, even though he's down on CS, he's going to potentially have the opportunity to take away that teleport advantage that, well, teleport so that they get a teleport advantage is what I'm trying to say. So Flandre manages to get out. He flashes away from his tower, so this is quite interesting. He manages to get CC'd by the volley. The Rise moves up as well. He's completely dead. There's no way he gets out of this. Obviously, I did slightly see it by accident, but this Rise route is going to mean that he just gets secured very easy. And also, GP does need to flash, but what are they doing? Oh, he's waiting for his Q. So he's waiting for his Q so he gets those the doubloons off the last hit on the Q. So, pretty nice. Oh, we do instantly see a fight coming down bot, though. So, we instantly see a fight coming down on bot lane. Okay, so Ezreal gets a massive amount of damage off, actually, on the Trundle. Which it isn't as impactful, obviously, because one of the things with Trundle is his passive means that whenever things die around him, he gains more HP. Which means this is especially useful when he uses his W and gets more HP from all sources. So, this is kind of one of the reasons why Trundle Sport is very good, because he's just going to sit in lane, he's just going to heal back up off these minions, and then he can do things. Now, this is very good, though, that the Xin Zhao has actually managed to find him inside the jungle. He does need to kind of run away. He doesn't flash because his W gives him so much movement speed. It's a shame that Leona wasn't there to follow the Xin Zhao's engage up, considering, you know, we had vision that the Trundle was actually walking into that brush. So, a little bit of a missed opportunity, which is very bad for EDG in this point, because they've missed an opportunity in bot lane, whereas they've gained... WE have gained a advantage in top lane, so they tried to go for the cross map and it just really didn't work, which is a little concerning at this point of the game, but I don't think it's going to matter too much just yet. But I'm really concerned about GG's ability to play at a world's level, because so far some of his pathing's been very, very far off. He's missed a lot of smites and preps around objectives, which even if it is a team decision, it's still up to him to tell them, no, it's 50-50, we don't want to go for this. So I think so far we've seen very, very clearly that the jungle is a very, very weak spot for EDG, whereas, you know, Scout plays pretty well. Who played well in that last game? So, yeah, we had Scout that played well, we had Viper played well, and Kennen, but again, it was this Xin Zhao that really let them down. So I feel like, especially with this game isn't as much about your strongest member. Having your strongest member really does help, but there's a lot more emphasis on your weakest member of the team, to be honest. So get water everywhere. Right, so now we can see another gank coming on top. Now the Xin Zhao is in the right position right now. Rise is ulting to get on top of them though. TP coming in behind from Scout, but I don't think it's going to do much. Maybe he manages to pick up the Rise here, but I think this is a very, very good team fight for WE. They get out with quite a lot, and now they actually potentially get to kill Yone as soon as he zips back. Okay, yep, and they die. Okay, so EDG playing really bad. Now this one thing I've noticed about Scout, he loves to waste his TP. So, poor TP plays. So, the Ezreal is sat on Tia and Sheen right now, which is a very big power spike. He's going to get his Phage soon. It's a shame he didn't manage to get that Phage, because it's nearly 100% gold efficient, and it gives a massive amount of sustain in the laning phase. So, it's a very, very good pickup to have. Now, we do have the GP that is getting ahead and he is pulling ahead, which means this is potentially one of the win conditions that they have, like we previously mentioned. GP is going to be the main source of AD damage, and I think Beijing has really evaluated this and really kind of hammered it home. But I think GG is just completely outclassed right now, and he's very heavily getting punished for it. The fact that he didn't realise that with AP in both other mid and bot lane, he needs to focus on getting that AD member of his team ahead. Otherwise, it's going to be very, very hard for him to play this game out later on into the game. And especially considering they've got this large advantage now, I can see it being very, very hard for EDG to actually come back. If they do manage to get some shutdowns and pop off a lot, then potentially, but So we are just looking for that. So I want to know what's this advert for, like milkshakes or? So I mean we do have a bit of a CS difference in bot and mid, which you know is going to happen. We do have a little bit of a CS advantage on top of that is range into melee matchup. So again that's going to sort of happen. EDG really needs to start looking to try and be a bit proactive. They have walked onto this Herald right now and they're going to try and force it. Rise doesn't really look like he's in a position to even want to move, and he doesn't have his realm warp available either. So I think they're just going to give this Herald, even though they have complete vision of it because of the Scuttle Crab, which I think this is a really bad decision by them. I think they're in the lead right now, and they're pulling the trigger with 3k gold lead. Like, the fact that they're giving away a Herald is really, really bad. Even though it's a Xin Zhao, it's just terrible. Now, if they do go and trade that, like, they didn't even trade the Dragon for it. Now, they are going to get this bot lane tower on the Ziggs, which means, you know, the EDG are playing catch-up with that Herald, but I think the opportunity to just go for this Dragon was sorely missed, especially considering this Dragon is a Cloud, which means it's confirmed that there is no Cloud Soul going to be in this game. So all three of the other Souls are actually really good at the moment. It's just Cloud is much, much weaker. So by getting the Cloud here, obviously it doesn't give them that much, but the quicker they get this, the quicker they manage to get to the Soul, which is always going to be a good one. Obviously, if it draws Mountain Soul, that's very good for EDG because they get to have 4 mountains, which, again, 24% additional resistances for both armor and MR is incredibly strong. My RuneScape crashed. That's sad. So GP is in a very good kind of situation right now. He's going. I don't know why he's going first. Actually, he's got Sheen. He's got. Maybe he's going for Wit's End. No, surely not. So another gank on Flandre. This one didn't actually do anything, but this is one of the things that I've. Oh, actually, no, they lane swapped. So this is actually very good for them because they've already lane swapped and got all the plates in bot lane because obviously Ziggs, and now they're actually coming into top lane and nearly getting a kill on Flandre, but now they're just going to get all of this tower as well, and they're going to use the Zig bomb again to just finish it, last hit it. So Ziggs this game is actually going to be huge, and I feel like it's very difficult now for EDG to actually come back into this game because they have champions that want to run in, like obviously Leona wants to jump in, Yone wants to jump in, Xin wants to jump in, Kennen wants to jump in for a flank, but Ziggs can just put his minefield down now and they don't really get as much. So they did give away this Herald, but they've managed to make up more than the plate difference purely from the value that this Ziggs provides. And he's already got Leandries at 11 minutes. Actually, he had this way earlier around the 10 minutes mark, so he's extremely strong right now and he's on his way to his second item already. I would have liked to see him get a tier as well, just to go for that kind of big damage boost off Seraphs, but we're probably not going to see that. I would like to see him get Rabadons at some point in this game, considering he's got all of this additional gold from the towers. We'll see. Now, it's very, very hard to siege against the Ziggs, especially when he's ahead, because as we can see here, a wave's just come in and he's just instantly cleared it, but he did just miss that cannon and he cracked out the Yumi emote, which is pretty funny. He knows he messed up, so we're not really going to mention that because that's not really the player making a mistake that they don't realize that they made. So we're gonna let that one go. So Viper is just pushing this in. Now I would have actually liked to see the Ziggs not do what he did with this wave. So here he just actually he just instantly clears it out, which I don't really like to see, purely purely because this wave is going to come in and this Trundle would have been able to get a much better flank. So I think he should have just waited a little bit longer and then gone off. So the Ziggs is just going to push this tower and then instantly take it. So this Ezreal is in a very, very bad position. So this volley needs to get here earlier, to be honest, and he should have gone round the long way. even though they do have vision, they should have looked to clear it out and just walked a long way and then potentially looked to dive. He has 2 control wards in his inventory right now, so they do manage to get the Rise's stopwatch, but it's not really going to matter that much, to be honest. Overall, WE playing this game very, very well, and Ziggs even used his ultimate to just clear this way so that they can siege another tower. That's going to be another 600 gold in their pocket, so he's just going to poke the bat on the tower now. And it's going to be very, very difficult. They're going for the dive. They've got this Volibear here with them. Volibear could have just ulted there and maybe continued that fight. But now they don't really have the opportunity to, because now they're back at the tower safely. They do get the tier 2 tower though. And Xin Zhao only takes the red buff away from it. He should have cleared the entire bot side of the jungle there, because now this is going to give Rise the opportunity to just go and clear away those camps as well. So what he should have done is look to jump onto the Krugs, maybe even clear them away, and then just maybe look to see him pinpoint the Rise now that they've got rid of his stopwatch. I think Xin Zhao is in more than a safe enough position, even though he's 2 levels down, to potentially kill its Rise, especially with his Gold Drinker. So I think that's what he should have looked to do. I think he is playing the safer play just because they're very behind already and he doesn't really want to grief. I think the jungle difference has already been very apparent just from the way that they've pathed. And obviously EDG win this ultimately. We know they win this ultimately because they're at Worlds, but it's looking very, very rough. And this was a very close series from what I can see, especially since it goes to that 5 games. So they're looking to just converge on this dragon right now, especially considering WE have already had one of them. This gives so this is very bad. So this actually a point where WE could never mind. Actually, EDG are just so far behind right now that even though it was a good fight for them, it just doesn't turn out good because this Ziggs is just outputting way too much damage for them to even contest that. Now, we did get the Ocean Dragon, which is extremely powerful, especially on the Ziggs. Getting that Ocean Dragon, now, one thing that people don't realize is Ocean Dragon does give a lot of HP regeneration, but it also gives a crazy amount of mana regen, which is huge. When you've got these picks like the Ziggs, this is basically the best soul possible for them. Now, at this stage, I do think that this game is completely over for EDG, and that they must have reverse swept. Purely because we can see here the Ziggs is just in the backline doing damage and he's not really getting zoned out whatsoever. They can't get close to him whatsoever because the Yone can't reach him, and even with his ultimate he misses him as well. So you know it is a little bit poor play from Scout here, and he actually dies too. They just shouldn't have really gone for it when they're this far behind. Like, considering right now their main goal is to just clear out camps. Like, one thing that they should be looking to do right now is instead of looking for this fight, they should have had Yone force in the mid lane and then just rotate into the top side and clear all of these camps away. Now, this hasn't happened, and because they tried to contest the dragon, they've ended up losing more gold in terms of kill value, but they've also not managed to bring the gold back by taking away their camps. Now, the GP, like we previously said at the start, is their main source of AD damage, and because he didn't get focus whatsoever from this Leona or the Xin Zhao, I feel like they both played this kind of badly in terms of their rotations, and this is very, very heavily damaged them. Now, I think this is going to be like 25-minute end because the GP is already at 2 items, which again, this was the patch where Serpent's Fang gave basically the highest amount of lethality for any legendary item combined with Yumu's, but at a much cheaper cost, roughly 500 gold cheaper. So that lethality bonus, if you were just going for lethality, which he clearly was, is very, very big. Even though they don't really have any shields, the amount of lethality you get out of it is still very, very good. So again, they're just going to siege like crazy. They can do it very, very easily, especially with the Ziggs bombs and the amount of poke that he can output on this tower right now. So that is what we're kind of looking to see here. The Ziggs is just going to keep pushing over and over and over until the game ends. He's not even going to use his satchel charge on the tower, purely because he doesn't need to. And yeah, this Rise is starting to come online now as well. He's on his Everfrost. He's going to get his Zhonya's soon, which is going to make up for the fact that he doesn't have that stopwatch. For the fact that that stopwatch is broken, should I say. So if I'm EDG in this kind of game, I'm praying, I'm hoping to every single god that exists so that this GP just runs into me and completely griefs. Because if they manage to get these shutdowns, this might be potentially good. I'm surprised that Ziggs doesn't have a shutdown, considering how many plates he got. Kind of crazy. Although, we've seen another offender where they've got this Morello's second item for no real reason. And the main damage dealer, going Morello's here is not good. Like, I'd even accept Morello's on something like the Rise here, but the GP can proc Grievous Wounds on everybody with just an execution is very, very well, due to the way of how his barrels works and the fact that he wants to let the team find out anyways. So, I think going Morello's here is completely grief, and I feel like this is a big lack of communication or training in scrims where they aren't really taking this into consideration, and it's probably not going to matter because Ziggs is so far ahead, but it's still very, very sad to see. It just shouldn't really happen at this level of play, to be honest. Like, I just don't really like it. So GP is just going to walk up. They're just going to siege. They get a pick on Maiko, and okay, that kind of gets shut down. But now they're going to just go back for the tower, and they're going to continue sieging with this wave that they have. Full HP wave. This Ziggs is going to keep poking them out. Ezreal ult to try and get a little bit of chunk before the fight and clear the wave. Does actually manage to be successful, but now they're just going to rotate onto this dragon. Now, one of the clear things that you can see here is they do really, really prioritize how much value they're going to get from this Ocean Soul, which is very important because if we look at the vision inside the jungle, the vision is extremely good. They've got the entire area lit up, and they have all 5 control wards on the map at once. So they have complete control of this bottom side, and the only real danger that they have is that they're going to try and force Baron, but they're really not in a position where they can do enough damage. So I don't like to see the GP walking up top here. He is just going to go and clear that wave away from that top tower, but I feel like just rushing this dragon is way more important. Obviously, there's 3 people top side for EDG, and they know that they're not on the bot side. So this is something that I say quite a lot, is when you are looking to ward as a support, you don't want to scatter your wards all over the map, because the vision that you have will also give you vision about the opposite side of the map. So right now, WE has complete vision control of this bottom side of EDG's jungle, which means that, you know, if nobody shows on those wards, then they're in the top side of the map. So it's kind of like one of them things that not having vision also means they have vision. It's kind of a weird concept, but it holds very strong, especially in games like this where they're just looking to play it out. They're just looking to scale. They've got a 12k gold lead. I don't see any way that EDG are actually going to come back into this game because they didn't play the early game properly, and now WE are just riding their momentum, riding their tempo, and just hoping there's no kind of bricks in the road that are going to stop them from EDG's side. I really don't think there is, though. It's very, very doomed at this point. They're looking for a fight here, so we have a barrel stored up already. It's going to get a barrel in. Doesn't manage to get anybody with that triple barrel, which is very, very unfortunate. It was actually just a double barrel, my bad. So it doesn't manage to get anybody with that, which is a shame. He does have this one here, so that if they do kind of walk up, he can just kind of pop one, and, you know, he's going to get a lot off. We're going to see if Michael walks in through here. If he does, he's going to get one shot. Yeah, okay. Viper walked too, so he just got completely halved, and then we got a Ziggs ult too. We do also have the Gangplank ult on top, but as we can see, the way this comp is kind of working now, the Ziggs can just zone him off entirely on his own, while the rest of them just wail on the Baron. So they're holding it on 2k so they don't get stolen, which is very, very good. Now they're just going to look to, whoa, complete switcheroo in the Baron kind of area, but they do manage to kill that Xin Zhao off very quick and then take the Baron. The gold lead is way too big for them to really do anything. I think they're actually just going to look to end the game out here, to be honest. They have a wave in mid lane with massive wave play in both the Ziggs and the Rise. I think GP is going to look to just reset and then TP back into the fight. Or maybe he just goes, clears his top wave, resets, and then TPs into the fight with Baron. He could also just synchronize the wave as well, which is something that they didn't do last game. But no, he's going to get a reset off here, and now they're just going to go as 5. What they can do is they can send Ziggs solo through mid to just push the super minions in now, and then they can all, even Rise would do better actually because he's a bit safer with phase rush, and then they're going to look to just send the Rise into a side lane as well with 4 members, while Gangplank also pushes the opposite side lane, and they're just going to look to sync all 3 waves up with the inhibs, close that out, get that into Ocean Soul, and then just look to push the waves in slowly and win the game off that pretty much. Okay, so this is good. Again, like I said, they send the Rise through mid to just push that out, send 4 people bot. I do think this Gangplank should have just been top right now instead of bot. I think Ziggs with Baron buff can just push these waves in on his own. Doesn't really need anybody else there with him. So yeah, like they just can't engage. Like they do manage to get the Ziggs, but it just doesn't matter. Ziggs isn't the primary damage dealer. He does a lot, but everybody's strong in this game. And then they're just going to end the game out here. So this was a complete whitewash. W completely ruined Edward. I mean, some of the things that they punished him on. So let's go back to our sheet. So cons, jungle pathing, very bad. Results in hard losing games. If one lane needs focusing. So the jungle pathing was terrible this game. I think overall, it was just kind of a bad game. I think the fact that they chose to take the Leona into the Trundle too, very bad. Like I previously mentioned, the GP is their main AD damage dealer, and if they allow him to go and check, then that's very, very bad. Zin's outpath bot this game. I don't know why. He could have just taken blue Gromp and then red and had his red longer for ganks and kind of pressure anyway. So it's very bad. I mean, even if he did take his red, he should have looked to split the map this game. Yeah, I don't think there's any pros from here. So it seemed like a very scared vertical jungle there. So right, let's have a look. So GP volley Rise, Gangplank volley Rise, Ziggs Trundle, Ziggs Trundle, and then what did they have on the enemy team? Kennen, Zen, Yone. It's very unfortunate to see this Yone matchup played very, very bad considering he chose this matchup. Like, I really think okay, so let's have a look. So the Gangplank obviously was the MVP. Volibear did do pretty damn well. I think overall green. I think overall everybody was really, really good. I will give Gangplank MVP over Ziggs. Actually, I'm just gonna give them both because the Ziggs early rotations were nuts. Kennen this game just completely griefed. Zin again completely griefed. We have Yone griefed. He did grief as well, to be honest. I mean, I don't think there was much he could have actually done in this game, but he did grief. His build is atrocious as well, like very, very bad. I don't like that build. Ezreal and Leona. So Leona played bad. Ezreal played okay, but overall you can't really hold out as much. So we'll go on to the next.